Hey, what's going on, YouTube? This is your man, the Sneaker Stud, and I'm back with some more fantasy football talk for you. Today was round two of our work fantasy football draft. So I just wanted to talk to everyone and kind of tell you about my draft, how it went, where I picked, what players I took, and the strategy that I took. It's a 10 person league. Standard scoring, no PPR. So let's get straight to it. Round one, pick number 8. I took DeMarco Murray. I was kind of torn between him and Jeremy Hill. I already had Jeremy Hill in another league, so I kind of didn't want to put all my eggs in that basket with just Jeremy Hill. So I said, let's go DeMarco Murray. I don't really love the fact that there's Sproles and Matthews in the backfield, but I think he's just that workhorse type, and he's definitely going to be the goal line back. So I went with Murray. Then on the way back in the second round, actually Jeremy Hill was still there. So the format of this league is you start 2 running backs, there's no flex, and you start 3 receivers. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to take Jeremy Hill. I'm going to lock up my 2 running back spots right off the get, and then I can load up on receivers throughout the draft, and then just pick a flyer here and there with other running backs. So DeMarco Murray, Jeremy Hill, 1-2 combo. Then in the third round, I took Emmanuel Sanders. I feel he was the best wide receiver available. I like him a lot, especially with Peyton Manning and that Denver offense. He gets a lot of catches, yards. He had about 1,400 yards receiving last year, 9 touchdowns. So he's pretty much money in the bank. In the fourth round, I took a little bit of a flyer. I went with Davante Adams, another wide receiver, Green Bay Packers. I think he's going to have a breakout year just by default by being the number 2 receiver on another high-powered offense with Rodgers. Even if he's just a shell of what Jordy Nelson was, then he's still going to be penciled in for 1,000 yards, 8 to 10 touchdowns. So we'll see with that. My next pick was Jeremy Maclin, another wide receiver for the Kansas City Chiefs. I got a lot of flack with this pick. Hey, don't you know the Chiefs didn't score, had 1 touchdown from Alex Smith to a wide receiver last year? That is true. I'm not worried about it. Maclin has already scored in this preseason. Alex Smith doesn't really stretch the field, but Maclin is an underneath guy, crossing routes, slants, throw him a bubble screen. He can break it. He has big play potential, so I'm not worried there. And then my next pick, who was actually kind of torn between with the Maclin pick, it was another guy, Golden Tate. So did I want a number 2 receiver on a good offense with the Lions, or did I want the number 1 in Maclin? So I did go Maclin, and then on the way back, Golden Tate was still there. So I said, you know what, let me take him. Kind of add a little bit of depth to my receiving core. So I already have 4 wide receivers, so I'm sitting pretty good through 6 rounds. So then I kind of wanted to go shore up some running backs. So my next pick, I went with TJ Yeldon. He's going to be the starting running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of people kind of don't think about the Jaguars and being good for fantasy, but I think this year they're going to surprise a lot of people. I think Bortles has improved. They have Allen Robinson, Hearns, now Yeldon. I think he has a lot of weapons. I think they're going to be really good. Also, Julius Thomas at tight end once he comes back from his injury. So I really like that pick with Yeldon. I think that was good value. For my 8th round pick, I went with Jarvis Landry, the number 1 wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins, who I think are going to have a great year as well this year. Ryan Tannehill has improved every year. I think this is the year where I think he can become like a top 11, maybe 12 quarterback. Then from there, I said I needed a quarterback, and I live in Rhode Island, about a half hour from Gillette. How can I not go with Tom Brady? I know he's suspended, but you know what? It could be 4 games, it could be reduced, it could be none. I'm willing to take that chance. So I then handcuffed him with a backup in Eli Manning, who with a complement of Odell Beckham, a healthy Victor Cruz, another year for Larry Donnell to develop at tight end. I think the offense will be better this year. So at worst, I'll have to use Eli maybe a few games this year, but hopefully just once when Brady's on bye. So now I'll kind of go through the rest of the depth I have. I also picked up Isaiah Crowell and Duke Johnson. I got them in the 8th and in like the 15th round. So one of those guys will be the starter. I think it's going to be Crowell, but just in case Duke Johnson beats him out, I have both options there for the Cleveland running backs. I also have Knile Davis. He's my #1 lockup handcuff you have to get this year. I feel he has the most upside if a starting running back goes down. We saw a glimpse of him last year when Charles was banged up. He can take it to the house. He can run with power. So definitely take Knile Davis a round or two ahead of where you think he should go, because a lot of people are going to target him this year. And then to kind of end up my round out my draft, I went with Doug Baldwin in the second to last round. I feel he's the #1 receiver in Seattle. I know they don't pass a ton, but hey, to get a #1 wide receiver in the 15th round, I think that's just great value. Couldn't turn him away there. So, and then at tight end is where I'm very, very iffy this year. I went with Vernon Davis. He's talented. He's aged now, but he can still move. He can still catch. The question is, can Colin Kaepernick get him the ball? So I went with Vernon Davis, and then with my last pick of the draft, I decided not to take a kicker, and I just went with Antonio Gates. He's suspended for the first, I think it's 4 to 5 games this year. He had 12 touchdowns last year. He had a resurgence. So even if I can get just a piece of what he did last year, I will be happy with that, considering it's the last 17th round, my last pick. So I think I have a really good balanced team. If my tight ends can just give me a couple points, be steady for me, I think I'll be in good shape. I should make the playoffs and hopefully get a run at a Super Bowl. I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and hearing what I have to say about my fantasy football draft. I'm going to try to make a video every week, kind of just updating where I stand, how my team's doing, maybe some players I added, some players I dropped, or maybe some trades that are going on in the league. But yeah, stay tuned. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my sneaker videos as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.